Right, the answer is a definitive no. So I've already gone 2 hours into the job just to prove it's a no. Look, it just rotates. See that complicated relationship? I think you can rotate that thing off with everything taken off, but no, you cannot. Okay, so the answer is no. You have to do it the way I'm going to show you in the video in a minute if you carry on watching. That's the answer, no. Right, in this video it's in 2 parts. First part will be really quick, the second part will take a lot longer. You can watch the second part if you want. I've already got a video very similar to this. So the first part of the video is to prove, see in there is on top of the strut, there's that nut. See that where I'm pointing to? That nut. Now, that nut can either be done in a way, taken off in the way that I've shown in another video where the whole strut comes off, or in this video I'm going to see if I can just basically crank the nut as it is, everything in place. So it might help me later on with trying to get the nut off, okay, if I can kind of crack it open now. Now, in the past I've noticed with these McPherson struts is when I've tried to turn it, either the whole shaft turns, so that's pointless, or when I try and turn it, it's because of the spring pressure, it's impossible. So I want to just see, I won't put too much pressure, I want to see if I can just do it the easy way, let's say, crack it open as it is and then take it off, and then the rest should be much easier. We'll see. In the second part of the video, once I've done that, you can either stop watching or watch the rest of the video where I take off this strut to change the spring. Right, for this job you will need, I've got 2 types of 2 lengths of spring compressors, long ones, short ones, because that's broken off. I think the short will do. So I can take the wheel off. That's a 7mm on a 1/4 inch socket. This one's a 13mm socket. I've used, you can see I've already taken that off, so all the tools I'm kind of telling you now that I've used. On those pliers I used a 16 ring spanner, a 3/8 extension bar, not extension bar, crank bar, breaker bar, something to clean the threads with, a hook, a 1/4 inch with a 9mm socket deep, a 1/2 inch socket wrench or socket spanner, 3/8 wrench or socket spanner with a 16 deep socket, trim tool removal thing, an 18 deep socket, an 18 ring spanner, don't think I used the 19 ring spanner, a 17 deep socket, and my trusty Clark's impact driver gun. Right, so that's at least what you need. I don't know what fits on top of there, but you'll need something deep anyway. Let me just check. Yep, 18 fits there, so I've got nearly everything I need. And what fits on top of that, I don't know. I'll find out for you. Need a 21 socket as well. Yep, 21. Alright, that's all the tools you need. So I need to get, I mean I could even reach in there, but it's not as good. Get these caps off. So easily done, get the caps off, get the wipers off, retain everything, don't want them going rusty. Simple as that. Let's see what nut is. Looks like a 15, I think. 14. left hand one was a lot easier. Let's have a look at this one. Just try and note the precision. First one came about there, the second one came below it, kind of. You can see the marks on the windows. It's always a good idea sometimes to film. Right, the cover should just pop off now. Hopefully. It's just a plastic. Might need a bit of teasing. Okay, just a bit of teasing, I think. Taking the rest of that off. Leave it like that. Have to kind of water hose there. Okay, there it is. So, 2 minutes in, I'm really ready to test out if I can crank that open. Just checking. Oh, just to remind you, the bad design is, if there's any debris in there, clean it out by the way, which is what I'm going to do. So, here's the ECU sitting in a pool of water. Whilst you're at it, make sure there's no debris in there. That's the thing that rots the ECU, the computer. So, very poor design. There it is, sitting possibly in a tub of water. But I have made attempts to get rid of the water from it before. Look at my previous video. Make sure that hole is clear in the corner. There's a hole in the middle here. Make sure that's clear. Just here where I'm putting my finger, I'm just poking it through now and I can feel debris falling out, so that should be clear. But anything here, should be a regular check on this diesel. Every owner should be doing it on this 1.3, is it? 1.3 diesel 2010. They all have this error. What's that? My work on it previously has been good, it's not too wet. Lifted off the watermark, let's say. Kind of digressing on this video a bit. To apologise, just helping the owner here of this vehicle. Clear the other side out, we'll be ready to test. Well, I'm going to spray WD, of course, straight on that bolt. So that holding nut is 18. Look, see as I try to turn it, look. See, it's really trying to rotate. See that? That answers your question. You have asked that question. I thought they'd do it this way, look. It's not even on there. See that? Rotates with it, so no can do. No can do. Notice on this there's no 3 bolts holding this. It will not. Okay, no, it moves, so there's no point. Okay, cannot do, even though the shaft is not rotating. Cannot happen. I'm just going to move it back. Maybe possible if you can fit a socket and then whiz it out, but how are you going to do it? You have to get the bonnet off, take this off, because that's in the way. Socket won't fit, long socket won't fit. It bumps into it. Short socket, possibly. Whiz it off, maybe. However, right, let's do it the normal way. That's the end of the video for finding this out. That's the video if you want to carry on watching. It's me just taking it off as normal. I knew this was possibly most likely the thing that's going to happen. I knew I won't be able to do it. Okay. Right, for the rest of this video then, I'm on the slope. The front is higher than the rear of the car, so I'm going to chop the back wheels with large 20 kg blocks and do obviously the the locking wheel nut, undo some of the bolt or nut, I don't know what it is in there, nut maybe, jack up the car, put it on jack stands, maybe just lift up one side, and we'll take it from there. And I'll need to probably turn the steering a little bit to help, so I'll do all that. Very easy to do, you've seen me do it before. So really, don't really need to even take these off. I was just doing it to prove a point, well, to find out really, not really prove a point. So you can leave all that and just concentrate straight on getting your car jacked up in the right place. I've got mine underneath the subframe, see that piece of wood. Now this jacking point, look, it's all bent now. That's the normal one when you change your tyre on the road. So alternative jacking point is here for this car. Look, all the strength goes through this bit here, so that's all bent. That's not safe to use anymore. Bent out of precision. Go for that now, and I can still jack it, axle stand it there and jack it here. Right, so here it is, one nut, second nut, a little bit of this comes off easily, a little bit of this comes off, but first let's rotate the steering to give us the best angle on that. This in the way, just comes off like that. Just remember the way the cables are on. Don't need to disconnect it. Just put it away from this McPherson Strut. And this one needs to come off. So there's a clip there. I should rotate the other way to get at the clip. Okay, what's going on? That's quite loose. I'll need to get that away from that. Yeah, okay. Should really rotate it the other way to get me better access to this thing. I'm just being lazy and not doing it. Need a hook. Hoping it's just going to pull off. Don't let it fly. That's what it wants to do. Good looking thing, isn't it? Okay, that's that. That should come off. Just making mental note of how that cable is. Want to go, fine. So I'll wedge it. That's better. Look at that. Plastic tool. Plastic tool did the trick. There you go. Okay. Natural bend in it. Just leave it as it is. It will just insert inwards. Right. Most difficult bit could be this bit here if it's stuck. Usually it's getting the spring off. Usually it's getting the spring off. Okay. Just checking out. I've just had a little bit of a panic attack there. Thought I had the wrong one. This is in front, that's over there to the side. Okay, let's get the gun out. The torque wrench gun, whatever you call it. Impact driver. clucks, impact driver, wired one, 450 Newton meters. It's about right actually. 18 socket, impact socket. You can buy them from Parks or Machine Mart. I think they're probably about 80 or 90 pounds. I bought it for about 60. So make sure, of course, it goes not that way. Oh, hang on. Yep, I'll undo it. There we go. Always take off the nut. Obviously, don't take the bolt off. Don't try and unwind the bolt off. You're getting more resistance through here. When you take the nut, it's just the resistance where the nut is. Sit moving with it. Move. Move again. I'll try doing it with just the cranking power of a 1 meter extension. Waste of time. Okay. Just the other side. Spin it on the shaft. That's fine. That's fine. That's it. Need to, of course, find the size of the nut on the other side. Hopefully it's the same 18, and then we'll crank the nut off. Comes off easily now. So I need one holding, one cranking. I need that deep socket though. The bolt looks in good condition, I can see it. Right, I'm going to get these two bolts off. Okay, nuts off. Clean them a little bit later on with WD-40. I forgot about this. Stabilizer bar. It goes all the way across that stabilizer bar. I'm pointing to it now. It's attached here. But if I was to undo that now, first of all it won't undo. Second of all, I won't be able to take it out. So because the other wheel is on the ground, what I'm going to have to do is jack it up, have both wheels off the ground, use the same jacking points, and that would be much easier to get off. It would just sort of come loose. And we're nearly ready then. So I won't show you that. I'm just going to jack it up. Right, that's a 16. You thought it was a 17, but it's not. Right. I'm going to turn the wheeler to a more of a natural angle. Steering wheel, straighten out. It'll be a bit easier to crank this off. I would say always try and find the right tool for the job. So you need a deep socket here. I searched everywhere for a deep socket. 16, found one, and it's a 3/8, not a 3/4. Is it 3/4 or half inch? Half inch. So it's just 3/8. So that does that. This is a short extension bar, probably 2 foot. So if you get the wrong tool, everything was kind of just not really sitting quite well. Shallow socket, you could give yourself more problems than you deserve. Let's put it that way. Right, turn the steering, and we'll pop this off. Let's change it. That's quite loose. You can see that. You see it? You wanna see it? In there, and you get a light on it. You know that's just going to fall straight off without any problems. Alright, so I'm going to get this bar, pull it off, and I'll push these out, and that'll be the next stage. Is just to drop the McPherson Strut. Right, to get the stabilizer bar off, you need a 16 ring spanner, plus you need, see that end there, that end right there, that's a 7mm nut, so you need a socket over that, otherwise you would just keep turning and turning. Just check it's not busted, You know, check the rubber gaiter is not busted. Alright, so we're on this stage now. It's a case of getting these out now. So in the past, what I've done is put the bolt nut, I always get nut and bolt mixed up, nut back on, and then kind of push it out that way. With the nut on it, you've got something to push against. So screw it back on, screw them back on until it's flush with the end of the bolt. Oh, that's not even a problem, was it? Well, don't even need to. If it was stuck, I think the impact driver, I'd loosen it. If it was stuck, you would do that, and you would kind of maybe hammer it or something like that. These are just one straight, and I keep them together. And I usually keep a separate tray. I'm going to clean them down with a wire brush. Usually keep a separate tray, a magnetic tray, for what happens next. Now all the other nuts and bolts is going to be kept separately. So I kind of usually have one container for each part of the job. Okay, so next bit coming up. There's my magnetic tray already. Before we do that, don't forget, clean this down. The WD-40 or penetrating oil to make the job of putting the nuts back on the bolts a lot easier. Did you notice how everything is really loose? I'm just getting both of them wheels off the ground. Right, store them away. Ready now? See if we can just pop off. Don't know if I need to change the steering angle. Let's get this off. I don't think look how loose that is. That's it. It's nothing else holding it. That just tips forward, hopefully, and it just falls away nicely. Oh, it's a bung at the top, I think. Okay, they've got a funny system there. Funny little system. Right, what it is. Look at this now. There's no 3 bolts. However, there is this odd rubber bung on top. So, if you've got this configuration, there's no way that you can do this without taking the strut off. You cannot crank this bolt off because this bolt holds on this rubber bung. And this rubber bung stops it from dropping down. So I'm going to put the 2 bolts back in and crank this nut off. I need to crank that off to get this rubber bung off. Right, silly me, it was playing ball, it's just me. I had the ratchet on the wrong way, so it was rotating. That's why it's clicking, silly me. Now look, see that? Ratchet is stopping it from turning. I've just got it wedged in there, and it's coming off. So rubber bung. Goodbye rubber bung. I win. Everybody else on YouTube wins. Hit that like button. If you've not already done so, share this video. Use it as a template to help you change the spring on this car. Leave all my mistakes in. Don't want to be Mr. Perfect on YouTube. Don't claim to be. Just need your comments, your likes. Keep watching. Thanks to all my viewers so far. So, cranking this off slowly. I won't bore you with the details. Right, so having them 2 bolts there stopped the thing from crashing downwards after the not so rubber bung. It's metal, really. So that came off and that came off, and the bolt head is still up there. So I'll put these down. It's just the weight of them causing them not to come up now. Do that so as not to confuse yourself. In fact, I could put this back on top. No, I don't need to do that. I need to get out the other bolt, the other nut. And this could come crashing down right now. As you do this, careful the drive shaft doesn't pop out of the gearbox. So you could bungee it, you could just, you know, it might pop out of here as well at the back. Definitely don't want to come out of the drive shaft. Yeah, that way to bungee it. Okay, it's not flopping. It's not a more, it's not an extra angle, it might be. Alright, that's that. Here is the strut. There's the broken end. Nasty looking broken end. And here's the nut that locks the top. Straight away penetrating oil on. Okay, so I think I'm going to try and do this quickly, which means I'm going to use the impact gun. So we've got 18 impact gun. Don't mind damaging them. Alright, so we need to, won't be able to take that off because the tension is too high. You could try it, but I don't think it'll ever work. So we could not leave this in the car because the rubber bung would be on top and it will sit too deep. If possible, maybe if I shoved that back in and poked that through the top, put the two bolts back on. Let's try it. 21. You need a impact socket 21. That's the only poor thing about this impact gun, that thing there. It just does not want to stay. Just push fit it on. We're rocking now. Oh, I don't want to spin my mat too much. So, I don't know if you can see. Make sure these don't come in contact with the frame. Whatever you. So that will take the tension off the spring, off the nut at the top. I'm going to keep compressing, and it comes to a stage where if I compress too much I won't be able to get it off. If I compress not enough I won't be able to get it off. So let's test that right now. I've compressed it somewhat. Let's get that deep socket 18 on the top. Move to 21. This time I'll remove. Yeah, see that? It just spins. Hold that. Yeah, done it. See that? So compress it a bit, because actually this nut isn't on all that tight. This needs a quick burst, as you can see. That's ready to come off. The tension's gone. Don't compress it anymore. Don't want it getting too compressed, it becomes too dangerous. So it's all kind of falling apart now. Nearly done. Nut comes off. Don't know whether, just keep it in order. That's the mount. There was actually a bearing in there. You need ever to change the bearing. strut mount bearing. That's the one. Sounds alright. Let's have a look. Spring out. Spring out. There you go. Fat bit at the top. Remember that for me? There's that. Don't need that. Just gonna leave that where it is. You can put that back on like that. Let's get a new spring. Keep that nut. Keep that handy. Next bit, match it up. Find the bit that looks like the top. That definitely does not look like the top, because that's the top there. That's the top. That certainly does look like that. See it? That's the top. That's the top. So it's a case of trying to compress this one now. Now these two spring compressors would be too short to compress this long one. That's why I've got the longer set now. And look how much I've lost. Well, not me. So much coil has been lost. In fact, there's more lost than. Remember I had that piece, it was about that size. I'm sure double that amount fell off. Right, okay. Compress the long one now. Get the long compressor, spring compressor out and compress it until it's about the same length as that, I should imagine, then it'll be alright. Okay, so I won't bore you with this bit. I'll show you what it looks like near the end. And I'll finish up on the video as soon as I put that nut back on. Installing it is a reverse, of course, of removal. As soon as I put that nut back on, that's it. It's about the same length, would you say? Okay. Make sure that I'm not missing anything. Rubber bung thing is there. Rubber gaiter is here. Just going to move down the top. I don't like the way that's touching too much on the side. Maneuver this end of the spring. Oh, am I being stupid? That bit there, obviously, it's got to touch that bit there. I like it. Okay. I'm gonna figure this out. It might sit in there. I think it probably sits not in there. It's in there, I think. Pull these apart and pulling them down at the same time. I'm going to do this by hand when I unwind the spring, because I don't want it destroying my threads on the spring compressors. It doesn't look like this. Oh, I've compressed them not a good way. pretty sure that is the top of the spring. Might even struggle with this a bit more. Conclusion, I shouldn't be starting from there. I should clamp these three and these three, and then I'll need to really squash them up and leave the bottom hanging. That's the only way I can get it on, I think. So let's rejig that and I'll show you what it looks like. Right, hopefully nearly done. They kind of look more like they're splayed out at a funny angle, which is great. Looks similar length, slightly longer perhaps. Not okay. Look, that's how it sits. That's it. See that? See if I get that in the camera. Sits in there like that. All right. Next thing. Rubber gator goes back in. I think these are called rubber gators. Or I might need to take it out and pop it back in. Probably don't do that. Dust cover, I guess. Like that. Pull this one back out. Leave that like so. Like so, I guess. Right, this thing is dangerous at the moment until you put this on it. As soon as you put that on it, as soon as you put the nut on it, that makes it safe. So we'll shoot that out like a rocket. Maybe it will explode on me right now. So let's get the nut back on as soon as possible, ASAP. And I'll just carry on doing that up. So I'm going to wind it until it's all the way, and that's it really. Undo them two evenly, undo that, job's done. Right, so thanks for watching the video. I did have a comment saying, oh, can I remove this nut while the car's in the car? Or put it back in the car? Nope, can't happen. I proved it, you can't. Must do it this way. Alright, thanks for watching. Right, so spring's still loose. Look, deep socket 18. Just screw it back on by hand. That's all it is. Look, you hit the bottom, it would just stop. It's not on tight. Just put it on until it stops. Look, all the way in. See that? There's no tension. It just goes on, goes to the end and stops. That's it. Unwind, unwind, and job's done. Before I go, don't let me do this. You've been watching me all the time. This is on upside down. The spring sits, this is basically flipped round the wrong way. When I went to fit it in, it wouldn't fit. You should be watching me. Hopefully there's no damage done. There's not a lot of spring tension on that. But anyway, don't do what I did. That's maybe go the other way. Do it properly. You should be watching me.